Good afternoon and welcome to this week's discussion. My name's Mark. Today we're going to be discussing interactive learning, which is receiving increased attention at all universities worldwide. University courses today are expected to produce graduates with more than specialist knowledge and skills. Exceptional communication skills and abilities in their professional interactions are equally important. Thus, coursework and assessments are designed to develop and evaluate content within a framework of real-world interactive tasks that require students to be effective in teamwork, problem-solving and decision-making. Today's panel of experts will be discussing ways in which their courses are designed to include interactive learning. I'd like to introduce Michael, Cara and Lana, who will be discussing their approaches to interactive learning. Michael, I'd like to begin with you. I wonder if I can pass the mic.
Sure. Thanks for having me. From my point of view as an engineering lecturer, it's really important for my students to develop that ability to work in teams in their future roles in the workplace. In any project they're involved in of any magnitude, they're going to have to involve a team of thinkers rather than just one engineer with a laptop, for example. So it's incredibly important for them to develop and to be able to be open to diverse perspectives and different ways of looking at things in order to get the best results. So one thing I like to do in my courses is at the start of the course organise the engineering students into small groups, and as the program goes on, I give them real-world problems to work on and to solve, and they need to work on that. And some of them are actually as practice, and some of them are assessed as well. The main intention of that is really to foster that interaction and peer interaction, and for them to be able to develop those skills. They need to draw on each other's different experiences and different abilities as well. And it's turned out to be a fantastic way of learning. It's much more motivational for the students and even for the lecturers as well. We have a lot of fun, but we also learn a lot. So yeah, it's great.
May I ask a question,
Yeah.
Michael? Thanks. You mentioned real-world problems, and I'm just wondering if you could give us an example of such problems.
Yeah. So what we like to do usually is to provide the students and in their teams with existing engineering structures or systems that could be improved or made more sustainable or more efficient in some way. And so their task is to present ways that could happen. For example, in a recent course, we looked at a large-scale dam in the US called the Navajo Dam, which provides a lot of water for agriculture, but unfortunately it also allows invasive species of fish to compete in the waterways with native fish. So we looked at ways that maybe we could look at the data of water flow and fish populations over a long period and kind of crunch that data, and the students needed to work at that problem from lots of different angles. And it was great to see because they needed to sort out who was going to do what and how they were going to approach it. They needed to be more systematic with that, and I think they got a lot out of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Fascinating. Thank you. I wonder if we could hear from you now, Lana, about your approach to interactive learning in your courses.
Absolutely, thank you. Now, I'm a lecturer at the School of Nursing at South Park University, and teamwork is a big part of our students' curriculum. And the main reason we do that is because there are proven benefits of medical professionals in particular working as a team. So doctors and nurses and different specialists, they don't work as individuals, they all work in collaboration with each other, and that improves patient outcomes. So nurses are particularly positioned in a way where they deal with patients on a daily basis, so they might notice changes or details that they need to communicate to doctors, which doctors sometimes miss in their rushed sort of rounds in a this communication allows them, working as a team and communicating, allows nurses to ask important questions or make suggestions about patient care. So that's obviously very important. Another very important benefit of teamwork in the medical field is job satisfaction, and that's particularly important because medical professionals work in a very potentially stressful environment. They deal with patients, they see a lot of suffering, and so there was actually this study published in the International Journal of Research in Medical Sciences that uncovered a link between job satisfaction and working in collaboration with other people. So they studied 10,000 nurses in England, and they saw that nurses who were engaged more in teamwork were more likely to have higher job satisfaction, and so retention rates in hospitals were also higher. So that was very important.
Could I just ask a question there? Just in regards to teaching your students how to sort of participate in that collaborative role, how do you actually teach them?
Well, what we do, we design activities that mimic what happens in the workplace, and doctors and nurses in a hospital often have what's called huddles. These are short meetings at the beginning of the day, and so we have these activities where we discuss roles, what people will do during the day, who is responsible for what. They get to ask questions and prepare for the day, and so by practicing these activities, students learn to communicate, to negotiate, and everyone can use more practice in this area, of course.
Agreed.
Thank you. I'd like to move over to Karen now so we can hear what your approach is to interactive learning.
Thank you, Mark. So in business and marketing, as you can imagine, in that field of marketing, having an international perspective is really important. And that's because it's really only through a range of perspectives that you can design a campaign that's effective. Marketing today, it frequently needs to meet global demands. So having an internationally diverse cohort of students is ideal. It's a great way to start the learning. So in the first part of my course, what I do is I centre it around project-based learning. And as the name suggests, that means that I'm asking students to undertake a task together, and it gets them to explore real-world challenges and come up with relevant, very targeted solutions. So I like it a lot because it's a very dynamic way to learn, and the students seem to enjoy it too. So for our first project, we get students from different cultural backgrounds, and they have to work in pairs, firstly to conduct some research and then to formulate a marketing strategy. On my last course, I had, as an example, I had an Australian-born student working with a Korean international. What they did was they came together and they decided to design an advertising campaign for young people in Hong Kong and Singapore. So as part of their research, they decided to interview peers from each of these countries, and that allowed them to gain really important insight into their target demographic. So they were able to understand what young people in Hong Kong and Singapore value, and what they typically did in their spare time, and also to consider some of the frustrations that they've experienced as consumers. So it's I found that a very, very useful way, and the students respond well to it.
Karen, can I ask a question?
Oh, sure.
How do you actually assess these students?
Yeah, that's a good question, because it took me a while to refine this approach. It's all very well to get the students working together, but how do you assess them? So I base the assessment itself on the students' presentation of the work that they've undertaken, and also on a written report. So to do this, the pair have to work together collaboratively, and they need to assign each other tasks, and they need to meet deadlines. So good communication is key. And of course, cultural respect is essential. So in my view, this project-based learning it's important training for the students' future careers, because working together in teams, it really is, it's the reality of the modern corporate world.
Well, thank you all. We're going to have to wrap this very shortly, but I wonder if I could ask any of you the question about problems. Do you have problems with team members not contributing equally?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Actually, yeah, that's a common. Could I speak to that one? Thank you, Mark, and thanks for asking that question. Actually, it's a really important one because it's a common problem. In fact, when you have groups of people coming together, that bringing together different perspectives. Of course, there's positives in that, but also negatives. Some people have different standards and expectations of what it is to complete a task together. So, what we do is create a rubric, and students have to evaluate each other's performance in contributing to the team. We have expected codes of behaviour and conduct, and the team members all need to meet those codes and expectations. And where they don't, it's up to their colleagues to grade them down, and that's a really important part of their final assessment grade.
We do something similar, actually.
Well, it sounds very fascinating. I'd like to go back to university. But before that, I'd like to thank you all, our three panellists, Michael, Cara and Lana, for taking time to speak to us on this important issue.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks very much.